Everything's gonna be okay.
We are talking Monsters in the Woods from 2012, and this is directed by Jayson Horton, credited here as J. Horton, and this is a low-budget creature feature. It is about a film crew actually making a low-budget movie in the woods, and there's a kind of like a cast and crew there who are sort of arguing and things. However, unbeknownst to them, there is a whole host of monstrous creatures that want to devour them. And as the group whittles down who will step up to save them, you'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let's discuss Monsters in the Woods. So this is a low budget movie, and it's kind of like part of the, I guess, charm, if you want to call it that, of the movie is almost like a behind the scenes peek of making a low budget movie. And I suspect this movie was somewhat made to be a knowing wink as an industry insider about the trials and tribulations of actually making a low budget movie. Now, that might not be of interest to some, but others, you know, if you're interested in the filmmaking process, it might give you an idea of the chaos that basically can come of actually making an independent movie. So, you know, that's one thing you could say that may be of interest to you. I will say on an actual kind of thing that I enjoyed really, I have seen some critiques of the creature effects. Now, I actually have to say, I don't think the creature effects are actually that bad. Now, bear in mind, there is a movie within a movie, in which case they have monsters for that as well, and they are deliberately kind of quite cheap looking. And I'm not saying the actual creatures that exist within the actual story of this proper movie are great, but I gotta say, I kind of thought they were quite creative. They're full body suits with kind of mandibles and stuff, all sort of created, you know, with kind of real props and stuff. There's not CGI here, you know, physical effects. So I thought the actual kind of creature effects look quite cool. I mean, they kind of look a little bit like they belong in a Gore concert, but still, I still sort of quite like them. They look kind of quite inhuman, and I kind of like the design. I have to say, I thought the actual music, the soundtrack for this movie was just the in-score music was actually fairly kind of effective, and you know, was kind of quite good. And once the story actually gets going, I do think it has an interesting hook. Now, I will say the actual kind of real plot of the movie doesn't happen until quite late, but once it does, I think, okay, that's actually an interesting kind of like plot. So let's kind of see where it goes from there. Acting wise, there's a big cast here, and it's a mixed bag to say the least. But let's kind of transition to what doesn't work. There is a large cast here, and the first two acts of this movie, so the first 2/3, are just the chaos of making a movie, of making a low budget movie as part of the story. And as such, you're introduced to loads of characters, none of which you'll remember, and they just seem to be arguing and arguing. So 2/3 of this movie is loads of arguing with characters you don't really know, about stuff you don't really haven't really been explained to, and the actual plot, the actual crux of the story, doesn't really start to happen until the last act of the movie. So if you can make it to the last act of the movie, you actually kind of get an idea about what's going on, what the stakes are, what character motivations are, what needs to be done. But that doesn't happen until the last third of the movie. The rest of it, however, is quite dull, with, as I say, and the movie doesn't do the work in really establishing characters. There's far too many, and the movie has this weird style where it's sometimes found footage movie and sometimes it isn't. But even when the movie isn't found footage, it still has camera movements like it is. It's a very kind of chaotic movie. Add to that, it has this filter in certain scenes to make it look like, you know, sort of older film sort of stock and things like that. But in other scenes, it doesn't. You know, it has different filters on. And it just thinking, what am I looking at? What, you know, you've got lots of film scratches, but not even in some found footage bits. It's such a chaotic movie. And it's just a bit of a mess, to be honest with you. As I say, the acting is a mixed bag. Some of it's meant to be a bit hokey because we have actors kind of acting within the film. Others, I think, do okay at times. But again, there's just no real characters to latch on to. And you don't really get any sense of what people are actually doing and what their kind of role is and stuff until really quite late in the movie. In which case, that last act is, you know, probably the best thing in it because it actually has some story in it. But the rest of it is just loads of people arguing and bitching or being divas on set and stuff. And I think this movie is meant to represent that. But I think, you know, the people that might find that amusing are probably people who are going to be in the industry. For general audiences, I think this movie is really not that interesting. And, you know, I think it does have some creativity in regards to that last act. I wish that had been kind of expanded upon us, the kind of the whole story. You know, characters were sort of stripped back. We didn't need as many and had a bit more kind of, you know, kind of introduction to who is who and things. But it doesn't do that. The general kind of quality of filmmaking is quite poor, I have to say. I mean, this genuinely looks like just a bunch of friends kind of like, without a script, just kind of like messing around and making a kind of cobbled together film. Now, I know that it isn't that because these kind of practical effects would have had to be put together and stuff, but that's just kind of how it sort of looks. Overall, I think this movie is one of the most chaotic movies I've ever reviewed. There's some good things in it, but you've got to wait until that, as I say, the last act of the movie, until the actual story starts in earnest. I suspect many people won't want to wait that long. So for me, it's a 3 out of 10. It's a little bit of a rough watch, to be honest with you, especially those first 2 acts. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time.